Hello, Facebook. How are you today on this beautiful Monday? I wanted to thank you for taking the time out to show up with me today. I have a lot of things that were on my mind that I wanted to talk about today. But for some reason, I just really couldn't move on from the thread that we've been in for the past couple of weeks on not just being able to invest in yourselves, why African Americans find it so hard to believe that they're worthy of wealth and to be able to invest in themselves, especially when they know that it's something that they need and that can help them, whether it's in their personal finance or with their business or with their marriages or their relationships or their parenting, whatever it is. It seems to be very difficult. And I was actually talking to someone last week who really has been in this community for some time now, several years, and has never really pulled the plug on doing anything. Well, that's not true. They've been in one or two programs, but not the programs that they, what'd you say?
Pull the trigger, not pull the plug.
Oh yeah, pull the trigger. I'm sorry. And not the programs they really need to be able to, help their business accelerate. But then, because of everything that's going on with coronavirus and, over 20 million people being laid off from their jobs, now it's become an urgency. And I say this often, I've been saying it for years. People normally come to me one or two reasons: out of desperation or motivation. Things have gotten so bad, they just don't know what else to do, when if they would have just come a little bit earlier, we could have prevented this, whatever the chaos is in their finances. Or motivation, they hear me on stage, they've come across, this very money school page or whatever it is, and they've been motivated, but curiosity doesn't really get you results. There are people who remain curious on the outside, and year after year, I hear people, saying, I'm praying, I'm believing God for increase, this, that, and the other. We got all the Christian cliches down, but we still don't pull the trigger. And it made me think of this story. Years ago, my pastor said this story to me because it was another couple that we were helping at the time. My husband and I was helping at the time, who really didn't want to listen to the advice that we were trying to give them financially. And long story short, it didn't end up well at that particular time for them. But he told me about a story, and I thought about the story last Thursday, and then I thought about it again today, and I wanted to share it with you. And the story really is what I call the story of a rooftop rebel. I don't even know the name of the what they're calling that. I'm calling it the rooftop rebel, and I'll tell you why. But the story is of this man who's on the rooftop, and there's this massive flood. And the water is rising, and he's praying, asking God to send him help. And somebody comes by with a rowboat, and he yells up to him, hey, get in, I'm here to help you. And he was like, no, go ahead. God, I already prayed. God is going to send somebody. I'm going to use my faith and believe God to save me. He was like, okay. He rows on away. God sends somebody in a motorboat. The water's still rising. He sends somebody in a motorboat, and he was like, hey, come in. I can help you, get to safety. And he was like, no, I'm going to use my faith. I'm just going to believe God. I'm going to believe God. He says, okay. And he takes his motorboat and he goes on about his business. Then a helicopter comes, drops the rope, and was like, hey, hold on. I can get you to safety. And the person says, no. The man says, no. Don't worry about it. I'm going to use my faith. God is going to save me. And then the water rises all the way up over the roof. And then the man ends up drowning. And so he gets to heaven and he's like, God, I was believing you to save me. I was using my faith. What happened? And God was just like, look, I sent you a rowboat. I sent you a motorboat. I sent you a helicopter. What more do you expect? And so that's the same thing with finances. When you say, you're just going to believe God and do nothing. And then when nothing happens for you, you start, doubting your faith. And it's not an issue with your faith. It's an issue with your eyesight. You're blind to opportunities. It's not an issue of faith. It's an issue of sight. And that's a lot of things and so that's why I call it the rooftop rebel. Rebel is because this is what we do. We want help with our money. And when help presents itself, whether it's programs or coaching, where you have to spend money, you digress. You back up. You don't do anything. you don't make a decision. And so, really a rooftop rebel, when I was thinking about, well, what does a rooftop rebel really look like? If we were to take that and apply it to our lives, make it life applicable, right? What does a rooftop rebel really looks like? And so a person that's too proud to admit that they don't know enough about money to be able to grow it. A rooftop rebel is a person that is too embarrassed to ask for help when they need it. A rooftop rebel is a person that's willing to suffer in silence financially because you allow shame to keep you in bondage. These are all signs of a rooftop rebel. And so it's the person that really rejects help when God sends it to them because they're too blind to see opportunity. And so it's the person that rejects help. Listen to me. It's the person that rejects help when God sends it because they're too blind to see opportunity. And so, it just really makes me think about financial literacy because the majority of the people that are in our community, whom I absolutely love, they're not destitute. The majority of them make $90,000 or more that's inside of this particular community. And so, but when I think about financial literacy, it really isn't optional in today's world if you really do want to survive. If you really do want to build wealth and have financial independence in this new economy, financial literacy is a must. It's not optional. It's not something that you read when I go on vacation once a year. I read a book about it. No, it is a lifestyle. It is something that you have to practice every single day of your life. And you constantly should be in a position of growing every day of your life. The price of financial literacy, especially in today's time where we are right now, where there's so much uncertainty going on and people are so unsure and quite frankly, they're scared. I had something else that just came in my head, but I'm not going to say it. But the price of financial literacy, and I'm sure you will agree, that the price we pay for a lack of financial education really is a high one. It's a high one when we think about the opportunities that we could be having. And so, when I look at how financial literacy, it keeps people stuck, right? It makes them immobile. It immobilizes people. And so financial illiterate people live in fear, clinging to false sense of security, thinking that their job was going to take care of them. People that have issues with financial literacy, fear keeps people poor and they can't solve life's basic financial problems. Number 2, financial literacy destroys self-esteem. I can't tell you how many times a week that, I'm on the phone with people where this is an issue. And without financial literacy, a person's self-worth and self-respect, are often low, making them unable to effectively and decisively make great sound financial decisions. And so a financially illiterate person goes through life, listen to me, pretending that he or she knows what they're doing when it comes to money. I see this a lot in my high six-figure earners, right? They go through life pretending that he or she knows what they're doing with money. Financial illiteracy causes people to be frustrated and upset. My husband and I used to joke all the time, when you found somebody that was just really mean all the time, we're like, they must be having one or two things they need. Anyway, the one thing that we're going to deal with, I was going to say the one thing that they need is probably more money, but it affects your self-esteem. And so financial illiteracy causes people to really be frustrated and upset. Always worried about not having enough money, always stressed out about it, always in a position or a stance of, worry and overwhelmed with their finances. And then financial literacy, financially illiterate people create fixed ideas. They don't have a growth mindset. You ever see someone that is in the same position, information that can help them, you share them with the information and they automatically reject it? I don't care what the information is about. It could be something as simple as you having indigestion, or you're having acid reflux, and you say, hey, just put some of this in your water and drink it and it's fine. No, I don't want any of that. I'll be okay. And then you sit and you suffer. And it's like, dude, you don't have to suffer like that if you just do this. And I don't care what it is, but financially illiterate people have fixed mindsets, fixed ideas about the world, and you can't have that in today's world. And so this is a really big one right here, having a fixed mind, meaning you're not growing. You don't have a growth mindset. And so I found that financially illiterate people have closed minds. That's really big. Another one is financially illiterate people believe that they are victims. You see it a lot. You just take 10 minutes and scroll through Facebook and everybody is complaining about the rich, especially during a time like this. And without financial education, financial illiterate people don't know what's going on in the world economy, and they don't understand that the world economy really does affect their own personal economy. And so they tend to blame others for their money problems. They get mad because people like Warren Buffett or Jeff Bezos, this is the big thing. Last week, Jeff Bezos, it came out that he was in line to be the world's first trillionaire. And people on Twitter were going crazy. No one deserves that much money. Why? Who determines that? Like, we got to stop policing other people's pockets like that. If he has done the work, and he started Amazon in the garage of his house. He did not work for 3 years, and his wife worked a job to keep a roof over their head and food on the table. Like, he put in the time. He did the work to build that. If he builds it to $1 gazillion, that is Jeff Bezos' business. And so, again, financially illiterate people believe that they are victims. You know, Jeff Bezos has all the money, so they don't have any money. Well, the truth be told, if Jeff Bezos was just a thousandaire, their financial situation would probably still be the same. And so another thing is financially illiterate people causes blindness. Listen, they cannot see the millions of dollars of opportunities right in front of them. Example, this past weekend, my husband and I were in the car and we had someone call us. And he actually started using what's in his hands. He's been following us and he decided to use what's in his hands, and he posted something that I think it was like a deep dish pizza that he did for his wife because his wife wanted one. We're in quarantine, so he made his own, and literally right away he got like 40 requests, 35, 40 requests for people willing to pay him to do it. And so the light bulb went on, and he was like, hey, LaShawn, before I get into this too deep, you know, I'm going to need your help. I need to talk to you and Rob, because if we build a business around this, I want to make sure that I'm profitable off the gate. This is some person that recognized opportunity, and I started laughing. I said, listen, the market tells you what it wants, you know, and so he understood how to recognize opportunity. He wasn't blind to the fact that it was a revenue, and he has a job where people can't come to it right now. So he's been home and they're not bringing in any revenue. And so this was instant revenue for them. And so financially illiterate people will trust strangers, you know, that they have never met with their money more than they trust themselves. You know, and so they can't see the market crashes coming from the best investments that are on sale, because they're listening to somebody that they don't even know, who only cares about, you know, the fees and the money that they make off of their fees. And so financially illiterate people make poor investors. You know, financially illiterate people are oftentimes are in the wrong place in the market at the wrong time, and they usually invest in the wrong things, you know, for the wrong reasons. You know, they buy high and they sell low. It's like when Walmart goes on sale, they're running to Walmart getting the sale, but when Wall Street goes on sale, they don't do anything. Where, you know, the money that you invest on Wall Street, when Wall Street has a sale, has the ability to keep growing over and over and over again. It keeps compounding. But your money at Walmart stops working the minute you give it to the cashier. So, and that's a mindset shift that needs to take place. Financial literacy causes poor judgment. You don't understand the value. And so oftentimes this person buys cheap rather than paying for quality. And so I actually have a spreadsheet that I've been keeping for over the years that talks about the 3 different mindsets: the mindset of the person that has a poor mindset, the mindset of middle class person, and then the mindset of wealthy people, and how something as simple as time is different and how we account for it is different across the 3 classes. And so again, financial literate people make, have poor judgment. Financial literacy causes you to have poor judgment. Financial literacy causes a person to hate life. You find people that are so grumpy and everything is wrong and they don't ever have anything positive to say. This is another telltale sign. And then financial illiteracy can lead to unethical actions like people lying on their taxes instead of learning how to reduce their taxes legally. And so money really, people don't understand that money really is a lubricant, right? And so it makes life flow better. It moves obstacles and allows you to buy some conveniences, and it opens doors and reduces barriers in your life, or has the ability to open doors and reduce barriers in your life. But the deception that I find really, especially in the middle class, who is classified as a person that makes at least $45,000 to $135,000. That's what, you're considered the middle class in this country. And so in the upper middle class are people who make like $136,000 above. And so this is even the mistake, the deception of the six-figure earner, is that they're still financially illiterate and can't solve financial problems. And so remember, the financial literacy, what it really does is it distorts reality. Financial literacy distorts reality. And a lot of times in middle class, we want to stick our head in the sand and act like we don't have the issues that we really do have. And then we stay in the same situation. So you think you're doing better than you really are. And so remember, your financial IQ is just, I'm not even going to say it. I wonder if somebody can put in here who shows up every single week on Money School. What's your financial IQ? How is your financial IQ defined? Can anybody tell me? Rob, you gonna read it to me if it come up?
Yep.
Okay, well, nothing's come up, so I guess people don't know. But that's okay too.
Give it a second because I got a little delay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so your financial IQ is really your ability to solve financial problems. That's all financial IQ is. Like, people try to make it like it's this some big mysterious, financial concepts or formula. It's real easy. Your financial IQ is just your ability to solve financial problems. And so your financial IQ is measured in dollars in the size of your financial problem. And so many Americans can't even solve a $400 shortfall. And, if you don't believe me, especially in this time right now, where we are in this place in the economy where we're getting ready to go into a recession. And so not getting ready to go into, we are in one. But if an opportunity presents itself, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. If an opportunity presents itself and you fail to be able to take advantage of it because you lack the resources, a middle class person doesn't see themselves in the same class as people in the lower class. But guess what? If I am what America considers at the poverty line, and then I have another person that America considers to be middle class or upper middle class, and I still can't handle a $400 shortfall, I'm confused as why the middle class or upper middle class person thinks that they're in a better position than the person over here who the America says is at the poverty line. Listen, if you're, and that is the deception of middle class America. But in the end, you have to be able to solve your financial problems. So how you respond to economic downturns will tell you where your financial compass is. How you respond to economic downturns will tell you where your financial compass is. And so the financial landscape is changing and you need to be ready for the change. And so financial literacy will cause you not to pay attention to really what's going on. And you have to be able to pivot and know what's going on. May is a very, very important month. And even April, leading up to May, April is when, the U.S. has to make some financial decisions. And so you'll see them based off of, where they are. You'll see them start doing things like lowering interest rates. And so they do those things to help you continue to spend more money and to get into more debt because it helps them out. But May, this is a very important month. This month alone, we had a 2,000 point decline in a day. And so this type of, volatility in the market on the downside is going to happen, and we're going to see it again. And so once the market finds its bottom, I don't believe it's found its bottom yet, but once it will, like they're looking at the May-June time frame, we'll see a massive rally in the stock market. What do I mean by rally? Rally is just a period of sustained increases in the prices of stocks and bonds. And so it can happen in a bull market. It can happen in a bear market. It can happen in either or. But this is a sign. And so normally when people start to see this, they make different decisions about their money. But if you don't know what the signs are, you can't make it. And so we see a big rally on the horizon. Even though we saw one, it wasn't the big one that's going to cause things to really shift. And so then you'll start seeing like this stimulus money that people are talking about, that people are receiving. Millions of people still haven't gotten it yet, but they just approved another round of stimulus money. And so when you start to see that stimulus money make its way into the market, but before we can get to that, we still have to deal with this month of May. And so recession is here. How do you know that, LaShawn? Nobody's talking about it. They're saying it's coming. Listen, if no one is admitting it, I'm going to let you know it is here. I was hoping that, jobs, and they were able to, even with coronavirus, to hold this off a little bit longer, but they haven't been able to. First quarter GDP numbers just came in. It was at a negative 4.8%. Well, what does this mean? When we look at the second quarter, they're estimating that we're going to have a negative 30% GDP. A negative 30%. And so the second quarter will be negative also. And so the official definition of a recession, is when you have 2 consecutive negative quarters of GDP. And so, I don't know how long it's going to last. Hopefully by the third quarter, we can pull out of it. I'm not sure, but I can tell you, of where we are. So we're still in the shadows of not having the real hardcore numbers for the second quarter, but it doesn't end until the end of June. But the estimates are around negative 30%. That's going to start impacting a lot of things. We have other issues coming with commercial and residential real estate. Malls are in trouble. Even before coronavirus, malls were in trouble. You start seeing a lot of empty stores. Neiman and Marcus. Listen, in 2008, Neiman and Marcus and those high-end stores were not having financial trouble. It's a big issue when stores like that start having financial issues. Neiman and Marcus has filed for bankruptcy. Saks Fifth Avenue has mentioned that they've missed a couple payments. You're not Saks Fifth Avenue in the market and then you just casually say I've missed a couple of my payments to my creditors. But Saks have mentioned that they've been missing payments. J. Crew has filed for bankruptcy. JCPenney has filed for bankruptcy. New Yorkers, the Citizen of New York, they're discussing not paying their rent for the next few months. So that's a rent moratorium that's getting ready to happen. And so that is the financial capital of the United States in New York. And so, banking is going to show quadruple losses over the next couple of months. And so we're going to start seeing all of this. Earnings are like non-existent. They're stagnant. Credit cards are also in default. And there's a wave of more defaults that are coming with credit cards. All of these things are signs. And so they're signs for opportunity. And so it looks like, again, real estate will get hit hard. The banking system will get hard, similarly to what we saw in 2008, in what they call the Great Recession. And so mortgage rates, came out recently where we're at a 50-year low with mortgage rates. I think it's like at 3.23% or something like that. And so refinance if you can. This is the time when you refinance and not treating your house like it's an ATM machine. You're not refinancing to, pay off stuff so you can go back shopping and raise it all up again. But this is the time it makes sense. If you are 0.75% higher, it makes sense for you to refinance right now. And so this is the weakest time also for metal stocks, metals themselves in the market. I'm a huge fan of commodities. But I am a huge fan of whatever cycle we are in. Not that I'm a huge fan of commodities. It's whatever cycle we're in. And so I've been talking about commodities for several years now. Well, silver is currently not being minted at all. I had someone contact me like 2 weeks ago and was like, hey, I want to buy some silver. I want to drop money in some silver. And I'm like, I've been talking to you about silver since 2011. It's 2020. You haven't gotten it now? And then I had to be the bearer of bad news to tell them, listen, silver coins aren't even being minted right now. They're not, because people knew how to recognize the signs of what was going on in the global economy. So they started buying it. And so it became a rally. Now they're not available, physical silver. But if you listened in my community and you got ETFs a couple years ago, right from the stage, we whipped out our phones and I walked people on buying silver, not just silver coins, but ETFs. And so right now we're getting ready to really see silver make a movement to go down. And so silver will bottom, coming in this second quarter. And so if you have it in your portfolios, then guess what? You probably should sell it. You can get it back later on in the year. The price is really going to drop later on in the year. You go in, it's on sale, you buy lower than what you pay for it now. So these are just signs that are happening all around us. Gold works opposite from the dollar. Remember that. And so when gold deflates, it forces people into investments in the US dollar as one of the world's strongest currencies out there. For now, China's making really big moves to knock the United States off its high horse. But prior to the decline of the dollar later on this year, and the debt destruction is coming, because we can't keep these numbers up with credit cards being at an all-time high and student loans being at an all-time high, and even the government's debt being at an all-time high. And so we have to understand, where are these opportunities? It's not time. Someone sent me a post and was like, they're opening up stores. I bet they're going to have great sales. I'm not thinking about those sales in those stores. I'm thinking about the sale on Wall Street that I'm able to get, that my kids will be able to benefit from. And so we have to be able to shift our mindset and our thinking. What other assignment can I give my money other than the assignment that it's had for the past several years or all of my adult life? We have to start giving our money some new assignments so it can start bringing us some new money.
Producer versus consumer.
Producer versus consumer. That's what my husband just said. And so we have to start looking at these things and understanding what's going on, because so we can see opportunities. If you can't read the signs, you don't know what to do or how to solve your financial problems. And so a few people asked me recently, why can't we just print more money? Because they know, they may have heard a newscaster say we can turn on the printing presses, or the U.S. just turned on the printing presses. Sorry. Listen, this is called quantitative easing. The United States printing more money is never the solution to our financial issues that we have here in the States. It's never a good thing for the U.S. economy. And so quantitative easing causes hyperinflation. We know what inflation is. I often say that inflation is one of the three invisible hands that are in your pocket: debt, inflation, and taxes. And so quantitative easing, it actually causes hyperinflation. And then all of the evils that come along with hyperinflation, like it erodes the value of the US dollar and it renders it worthless, right? And so it saps tax revenue, it shutters businesses, it raises the unemployment rate when they do that. It drives the cost of living up so high. And so now it becomes this big political instability issue, and we're headed into an election year. And so all of these are signs. So printing money is never the answer. But guess what? If you don't have a financial education, you think it is. It sounds good, right? I wish I did have a printing press in my house, right? And we will all be able to print new $100 bills. But that's just not how it works. Turning on the printing presses doesn't solve the problems that we have. But where there is economic downturn, there is opportunity. And so that's really important. I'm not even finished with my notes, but I am going to stop here because I can pick up next week and just talk about the different types of poverty. Poverty is not just one type, one in all. You got situational poverty, which happens generally is caused by a sudden crisis or loss, and is often temporarily, like what's going on in the economy now with coronavirus. It will create some situational poverty for some people. And then you have generational poverty. There's a difference between situational poverty and generational poverty, and then relative poverty. There are like 3 to 6 different classifications. I'm not going to go into that now because my time is up. But listen, guys, we got to pay attention so we can move and then be willing to act. Don't be like the rooftop rebel. And, God is sending all of these answers your way. And then you're just like, no, go ahead. You can't, you're blind to opportunity. You can't see opportunity. And then you use your faith as an excuse. Faith is not an excuse. It's the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. So guess what? When you pray for help and God sends the helicopter, he sends the rowboat, he sends the motorboat your way, those are things, it's evidence of the things that's not seen, evidence of the help that you have been praying for. When someone presents that help to you, don't be afraid to take it. Don't be afraid to take it. And so anyway, do we have any questions? Normally when I teach something like this, I literally get off and probably spend maybe an hour afterwards because I get an influx of DMs with people sending me questions and stuff about the things that I teach. And you know what? Send them. If it's something that you need more clarity on, just let me know. I'll give it to you. I'm here to help people. I'm here to help you guys. Okay? I want us to be a nation. I want us to be a class of people that are financially literate, that can recognize opportunities and seize the moments of the opportunity. So since I don't have any questions, thank you guys for tuning in, and I look forward to talking to you next week.